Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ask Coffee, a School of Culinary Arts. My name is Chef Caesar. Today I'm going to show you how to do a wonderful pork loin stuffed with some dried fruits. I'm also going to make a nice pomegranate glaze. Now that we have the holidays coming up, this is a perfect dinner. You guys can do this very easy, it's simple, and it's very tasty. So first thing you want to get is a nice pork loin like this. You see here, this is about 4 pounds. So we're gonna butterfly this, but before we get to that, I want to start making our fruit. We need to hydrate our fruit since it's dry, so we're going to add a little bit of water here, about a cup, to add some more moisture. So we're going to turn it on, add a little bit of brown sugar, about 3 tablespoons or 2. I got some fresh sage. This is going to give some beautiful aromas. I'm going to throw in there. What I got here is some mangoes. I got some dried pears, some apricots, some dates, some cranberries. They're in season. You can find them just about any time year round, but right now it's a little bit more. So throw in there about a couple packages. You want to make sure that you have enough to stuff your pork loin here. Okay, that should be good enough. Okay. So we're gonna cook this until this the fruit becomes nice and soft here. Okay, it's gonna take a few minutes because otherwise, if you put it dry, it's gonna be a little chewy. So we need to kind of add some moisture, right? I'm also gonna add a little bit of heat. Okay, since it's a little bit spicy, so I got some smoked jalapeno peppers, the chipotle peppers. So you can use any other type of pepper, like pepper flakes will work, or even a jalapeno fresh. It really depends how much heat you want. A tablespoon is going to balance the flavor really nice because you're going to have a sweet from the fruits. Also, you're going to have a really nice sweet glaze from the pomegranate glaze I'm going to be making in a little bit. So you want to simmer this until the water pretty much evaporates and some of this moisture is going to be soaked up by the fruit. So let's I'm going to add a little more sage. I love sage, so this is a nice herb. If you can't find fresh, hey, dry will do the job. You can also use a different kind of herb. Maybe you want to do like fresh thyme or a little rosemary. Hey, go ahead, nothing wrong with that. Remember, what's more important here is, the technique, not so much, the ingredients. If you don't like heat, hey, leave the peppers off, right? They're going to make me sneeze here because I have a lot of vinegar in this pepper, so when you heat them up, it's going to be like, it's going to clear up your sinus. As you can see, the water pretty much evaporated. You can see the fruit's nice and soft. Now you can feel it. Okay. So we're going to put this to the side. Okay. I'm going to shut it off. Okay. So, and then we're going to let it cool off here. Okay. Move it to this other end. Now we're going to focus on our pork loin here. We want to butterfly this, which means we're going to flip it over. You always want to do it on the side underneath here because the side that has the fat, we want to leave it up. So when it roasts, the fat's going to start to render. That's going to keep the meat nice and moist, and it's going to add a lot of flavor. So you always want to do this in the bottom. So you line up your cutting board with a piece of plastic wrap on the bottom so you don't make a mess. You're going to cut right in the center, kind of go on an angle like a 45-degree all the way down. Okay, this is going to allow us to butterfly this, to pound it out so we can put a stuffing in there, right? And you're going to see that this is so easy to do. I mean, it's just one of those things you can do ahead of time. Keep it in your refrigerator, and then when it comes time to roast it, you just put it in the oven for about an hour until it gets to about 135. So you don't want to cut all the way through the meat. You don't want the stuffing to fall off, right? So be careful. You just kind of open. There you go. Look at this. See how easy it is? So you're going to tell when you're almost getting close to the edge, right? There you go. It's also when you pound this, it's going to tenderize the meat a little bit, right? Okay. Here you go. Now you're going to put another piece of film over the top. And we want to do this because you don't want to make a mess in your kitchen. You don't want to any pork juice splashing all over the place in the kitchen. it's very, very important. So I'm gonna do two. This is a little one. If you got one of those bigger ones, it actually works better. A longer one, like an 18-inch. But hey, this will do the job. Being a chef, sometimes you gotta improvise, right? And that's important. So we're gonna cover this really nice, okay, like this. You're gonna take your mid mallet. If you don't have one of this, hey, use a rolling pin or like the bottom of that saucepan, something heavy, and just kind of start from the center. Okay, you want to push it out. And again, this is kind of light, so I usually like to have ones a little bit heavier, but you don't want to pound the meat too hard. It's already dead. You don't want to kill it, right? So you just want to, otherwise if you do it too hard, you're going to rip holes in the meat, and you don't want that. The stuff is going to come out, the stuffing. So you want to kind of pound it, okay? You want to kind of spread out the meat a little bit, so we can put our stuffing in there. And then we're going to tie this. Okay. So you can see you want to do it nice and gentle. You don't want to hit it too hard. Even though this is a pretty thick piece of meat, it's going to be hard to make holes. But if you pound it like a chicken breast, that's extra care, right? So. And again, this is very light. Usually meat meal is a little bit heavier, so you don't have to pound it so much like I'm doing right now. See how it's getting spread really nice? So we're able to put our stuffing, and we can fold the sides and inward and keep it in there, right? Okay. Okay, this should be good enough now, you guys. Okay, now we're going to remove this top piece of plastic. We're going to season our pork with some salt and pepper. I got some nice fresh pepper. Okay. If you don't have fresh pepper, hey, just the ground stuff will definitely work too. I like to use some kosher salt here. Okay. And then we're gonna put our stuff in here. Usually you wanna cool this down all the way, but since we on camera here, we don't have a lot of time. So as long as you can handle the stuffing without burning yourself, especially if you're gonna roast the pork right away. If you're gonna, do a day before, I highly recommend to cool this down all the way. Maybe you put it in the sheet pan, put it in the fridge, so when it's very cold, you can stop that. You don't wanna put anything warm. It's gonna, start to grow bacteria in there. And especially if you want to do it the day before. Like I say, you can stuff this the day before, have it ready, and then you just roast it the day of your event. Okay, so when you put your stuffing, kind of go right in the center. And don't go all the way to the edge, because if you do, when it starts to cook, the meat's going to shrink, right? You're going to lose some moisture, so you don't want the stuffing to fall off, right? So kind of go almost all the way to the edge, but not all the way. Leave about an inch from the edge, okay? So you can see the stuffing is nice and soft now, okay? Now we're gonna, tie this. Gonna fold one end inward, okay? Like the way it was. Okay, and then you're gonna do the other end too, this way, okay? Okay. See that? Nice. Okay. Now I'm gonna remove this plastic because I'm gonna tie this. I got some butcher twine here. So I got some butcher twine. So you're gonna start on one end, like here. And this is called a butcher's tie, okay? There's another way to do this, but it's a little bit more complicated. I don't want to make it too hard for you guys, okay? So you're gonna kind of tie this, not too tight, and make a little knot here, okay? So when this pork, cooks, it won't open up, okay? And one of the things you want to remember, you want to keep the same distance between each loop here, right? And the reason we do this, there's a few reasons why we tie this. One, you don't want the stuffing to come out. Another one, you want your roast to cook evenly. And also, just to keep moist. Otherwise, if you leave it like this, open, when it cooks, it's going to open up and all the stuffing is going to come out. And it's not going to cook evenly because when it opens up, there's some place where it's going to be not as thick, so it's going to cook much quicker, and then it's now going to be nice and juicy. And like I was saying, you want to leave the same distance between each loop, and this helps you kind of, when you're carving the meat, okay, depending on how many guests you have, you can probably do like 3 slices between each loop, and that way you kind of have a, you know, a nice measurement to do like even portions, right? So we're going to tie this. It's kind of hard to do with gloves here, but there you go. Make sure you there you go. Pull it in a little bit here. Okay. Okay. There you go. Looks very nice. Okay. We're almost there. A couple more, and then we're pretty much at the edge. There you go. There you go. Nice. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, one more here at the end. Okay. Okay, there you go. As you can see, some of the stuffing kind of fell off because I think I had it too close to the edge, but not much. So now we have a nice roast here. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna put in a baking dish. I got a nice hotel pan here. You always want to put a little rack so your meat is always above. You want the air to circulate in between. Otherwise, when it starts to cook, you're going to see some juices come out of here. You don't want to steam the meat. So now we're going to season this really nice. Okay. I like to do some salt and pepper. Some chefs think that if you do this, the salt is going to draw moisture out. It's going to kind of retire, brown it. But I like to do it before, and it's going to work fine. So it's really up to you. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to turn it over here. Okay. See it? We're going to add a little more salt here, right? And this one doesn't have a lot of fat. If your loin has a little more fat than this, don't take it off. Fat is really good. Like I said before, it's going to keep your meat from drying up, and also it's going to add a lot of flavor. So don't remove that, because when it cooks, all the fat's going to melt. It's going to render anyway. It's going to go away. And then if you have any extra fat at the end, you can always trim it off once it's cooked, right? Now we're going to set it here in our roasting pan here. Clean my cutting board. Okay. Make sure that you always have a sanitizer bucket or your sanitizing solution to clean up your cutting board when you're dealing with raw meat, especially. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we're going to start. I want to put this in the oven, right? 350 for, again, depends on your oven too. If you're using a convection oven like I have here, you want to go 350. If you're doing like a conventional oven, 375. A convection oven is more efficient because the air circulates. It has some fan in the back inside the oven that blows air, so it's a little bit quicker. So you want to pop in the oven. Okay. I got mine going here. If you want, now we're going to start doing our glaze. So to do that, we're going to get some sugar. Got some, hold on, this is not my sugar, that's my salt. Be careful. And you can tell, sugar is very shiny. Salt's a little more dull. So I got some, about a half a cup of sugar. I got some pomegranate juice here. Okay. We're going to make a nice glaze here. Yes. Okay, the cut of pork, that's a pork loin. Okay. And
then why was it so flat?
The reason it was flat because I pounded it out, right? When I butterfly, so I pounded it out so I could put the stuff in there. Otherwise, it's kind of hard. I mean, there's other ways, like if you put like your rod, like a sharpening rod through the center, but it's a little bit harder to put the stuff in. So it's better or easier to butterfly and then you pound it, and then you put the stuff in there, and then you tie it. And that's the reason you saw that. That's why it was a little flat. So, a little sugar. So we're gonna make this glaze. We're gonna reduce this by half, right? Once it has a nice nappy consistency, we're gonna be done. So this should be quick. In the meantime, if you want to do like maybe some potatoes, right? I got here some potatoes. We can roast them. One of the things you want to think about, timing, right? When you're cooking, you want to make sure that everything is done pretty much at the same time. So if you're doing potatoes like this, they're going to cook much quicker than your pork. You want to wait until the pork's almost halfway done, and then you start roasting this. But I'm gonna just put them in there because we don't have a lot of time here. So I got some fingerling potatoes. They're like a little purple, yellow, and just like red potatoes. I'm just gonna season it with some olive oil. Simple, little olive oil here, about a tablespoon or so, not too much. Okay. Then we're gonna put some fresh chopped garlic. Okay. I got some rosemary and some thyme here, some fresh herbs. Dry would definitely work too. All right. Okay. I'm just gonna crack some black pepper. Okay. And I'm gonna add a little bit of salt here. Okay. Some salt there. And we're gonna toss them. Okay. These are gonna be so wonderful. They're very creamy. Okay. Now we're gonna put them in a little pan here. We want to make sure that we got this potatoes like facing up so they get a nice golden brown. You want to spread them out. Okay. And I'm gonna put them in the oven now. So, but if you at home, you can wait until the pork's been cooking for about probably half an hour or so. That way, they all come out at the same time. As you can see, these are beautiful. I mean, they're very nice, and they go really well with a nice pork roast, like you see me down there. So there you go. So now I'm gonna put them in there now. Keep them open, uncover. You don't want to cover your potatoes. Okay. So now we're gonna focus our attention back to our glaze here. It's simmering, boiling really nice, and it's gonna take a few minutes to reduce down to a nice glaze. And the only thing you can do if you don't want to do a glaze, you can make it like a sauce, right? With a pomegranate, you can saute some shallots with a little butter. Then you throw your juice in there. You let it simmer for a little bit. Add some sugar if you want a little sweet, and then you can thicken up your sauce with a cornstarch slurry. It's quicker. So once it starts to boil, like right now, you would add your slurry, and then it would be done quick. But since I'm making a glaze, it's a little bit takes a little longer, right? But in the meantime, I'm gonna start to clean up here, and I already have a roast going in the oven for you guys to kind of see what it looks like. So we have to kind of check and see it looks nice and golden brown. We want to check for the temperature, right? And you want to put it like in the thickest part. So like I said, you want to do about 135. And the reason you want that, because as you can see here, even though you take the meat out of the oven, there's carryover heat because the surface holds heat, the meat holds heat, and this heat is going to continue to penetrate all the way in. If you roast this to about 145, like pork should be, and you let it rest, by the time you go and cut it, it's going to be overcooked, and you don't want that. So make sure you take it out like it's about this is done. I'm going to take it out. As you can see, the juices are running clear, so this is perfect. It's a little bit over like 140 because I was kind of busy over here, but at this point you don't want to cut it. You want to let it relax for at least 10 minutes. Right now we're making a glaze, so by the time this is done, we can cut off the strings. Make sure you cut the strings. You don't want to serve your guests a piece of string. That doesn't look good. So let it rest, right? You can take it off this pan, put it in a different one if you like, or you can just leave it like there, okay? I also did these potatoes that you just saw me make, okay? As you can see, these are almost done, right? This is a different one, not the one I just put in. As you can see, they're nice and and tender. Let me take my knife and cut one. See, it's kind of nice and crispy in the outside, but the center is nice and soft. So once I get nice and golden brown like this, you want to take them out, you know, and then you're ready to serve. I'm gonna put them to the side, okay? And then this is gonna rest a little bit before we start slicing it, because we don't want our pork to be dry. Because if you were to slice this when it's hot, all the juice will run out. Okay, so over here we can see our glaze is coming. Okay, you can see the edge of this pan is getting like a nice nap-pack consistency, right? If you run your finger to the back of your spoon, it's not going to run down. It's going to see a nice line. And keep in mind, when this cools down, it's going to thicken up even more. So you don't want to get it too thick. Otherwise, it becomes too thick. You can't really spread it in your dish, right? So we're going to shut it off, right? Because it's done, as you can see, very, very fast, right? Look at that. Nice, beautiful color. Of course, you can do a different one, maybe like a orange glaze. You can do any kind of fruit glaze you like, or even the sauce. I mean, whatever you desire. So this is gonna move to the side right here, right? Okay, so we're going to kind of hold off here. Okay, this is a little. Okay, I'm gonna do a little plate up here. First, I know it's not really 10 minutes yet, but I want you guys to see what it's like. Okay, this is good. Okay, so right now we're gonna remove all the strings, right? You know, just take your knife and you want to cut them off, right? You don't want to serve any of this to your guests. Okay, let's see. If you want to get the meat even a little more brown than you see here, you can set it on your oven to broil, you know, like the last 10 minutes, and then it's going to get really hot, and you're going to see a lot more brown in here, right? So let's remove all this butcher twine, so we're not slicing any of this and giving it to our guests. Okay, it comes off really easy. Look, just kind of pull it off and from underneath. Okay, so, and you can also do a different type of stuffing. You can do maybe like a meat or a farce, right? So there's so many different things you can actually do. Let's get some plates here so we can slice some pieces from the end, and also do my potatoes. Okay, let me get some of these nice potatoes here. Put some around this platter. I'll probably wait for those. Okay. I'm going to do little slices here. As you can see, again, this one's a little bit over because I was, you know, kind of busy over here, but you know what? Still has a nice pink color in the center. As you can see, it's nice and juicy, and that's what you want. You don't want a piece of pork that's very dry. Some people think they have to cook pork like to well done, and that's not the case anymore. You know, this used to be in the old days, but they used to, you know, raise pigs a little different. Now they're more cleaner, but still you want to get them to at least 145 in the center. I'm gonna turn this your way so you can see looks nice and pink here too. Look at that. So now we're gonna do this glaze. It should be a little bit more cool, but since we kind of timing this an issue here, I'm gonna put a little of this glaze. But again, it's gonna be perfect once it cools down. As you can see, the consistency, right? Syrupy. Okay. Like a little bit in the plate in the bottom. See that? Kind of holds the shape around. It's a little bit round on the edges. And that's what you want, right? When it's cool, it's gonna look even a little bit thicker, right? Look at that. So now we're gonna Okay, there you go. So we're gonna start, putting some slices here. Okay. Okay. You can still see a little pink in the center. That's what you want. Okay. And you can see some of the juices coming out because I cut it too soon. So at home, you guys want to wait for 10 minutes. And that way, you don't see a lot of liquid coming out of that roast here in the bottom, but then the cutting board. Then we're gonna plate some of these potatoes around. This, it's kind of cool now. I can handle. Okay, see. Okay. If you want to drizzle a little bit more of your glaze over the top, just take a little ladle. See, it's getting thicker now that it's cooling down. You can see how it's getting more of syrupy consistency. Look at that, this is a beautiful color. I love this color. Not only that, the flavor is really nice too. Now we're going to top this with some little green, some chopped green onions here. Add some color. I always think about your plate presentation, right? And I got some fresh pomegranate seeds that are gonna go over the top. Okay. So, let me move this out of the way so you can see it. Look at that. It's a nice dish, easy to make. I mean, you can do it family style or a single serving, and it's gonna look really nice and it's very tasty. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you guys get to make this for the holidays. As you can see, very easy and very quick. Once you have everything ready to go, I mean, it's just easy to put it together. What takes longer is about an hour to cook, right, in the oven. But then after that, it's really simple. So thank you so much, and I see you guys very soon. Enjoy the holidays.